बिल्कुल अलग है। ये सब आकर्षक भी है, खतरनाक भी है, और इन्हीं दो तरीकों से लोग इनका इस्तेमाल
Hello, guys. Hello. Hello, Babin. Okay, so let's wait for until all the other people come. Hello, students. Hello. I think the class is full now. Just want to make a small announcement. Can you guys hear me? Can you please someone say hi? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay,
Yes,
guys. Thank you very much. Take a look at the announcements that I prepared today. One of the first ones that I want to talk about is the lecture recordings. So now I just want to share with you guys what that means. So all the video recordings that you have, if some how many people have enrolled late for this class? How many people have missed week 1 or week 2?
I have.
Yeah, so you don't need to be worried at all, because week 1
Mhm.
and week 2 lectures are already uploaded onto the I already shared a link in the announcements. If you go to your
Okay.
announcements, can you please try and take a look? See if you can find the videos in your announcements. Can someone verify that if you are able to do that?
I'm trying to see if I can find it.
Yeah.
I'm not pretty sure. Just give me about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Enterprise data analytics.
Sir, are you asking about Moodle or announcement?
No. I removed them from the Moodle because the Moodle is accessed by a lot of other students. So that will, from now on, you will be having access to my lecture videos.
Yeah. We can see that there is a video lecture recording.
Yeah. So do you see let me share my screen.
Okay.
So do you see like this?
Yes, somewhat like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So like these two videos.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do from now on is I'm gonna keep uploading the videos until like the enrollments are finished. So
All right.
people may be enrolling until the end of week 3. So this week or maybe next week as well, I will upload them here. So
Okay.
in the future, if you want to take a look of the recording, you can actually go to the channel. I mean, this is a YouTube channel that
Okay. Yeah.
for KOI that I have created, and I'm
Mhm.
uploading them from the YouTube channel.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
So
sir.
you
Okay.
can look at my other courses as well. I don't know if any one of you will be interested at all in learning maybe Python, maybe R. I don't know. If you are like, you are more than welcome to see and go and find and learn whatever you want. Okay, so let us.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is good. And anybody else who missed the class first 2 weeks? Is there anybody else who missed the class due to for the first 2 weeks due to late enrollment or some medical reason or anything? I just want to check with the attendance because I was told that some people have in reality they enroll late, but most people say who missed the class, they say, oh, I enrolled late, but they just lie in saying that like that. But so this is LC, right? So I see there are a few people like Akriti who you missed both the classes. And there are a few people who enrolled late. We don't know. For example, Samir, are you here? And Ratna?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
So why were you not here last class?
I enroll late. That's why, sir.
You enrolled late. Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
yes,
good.
sir.
Like you need to mention that to me, like,
Okay. Yes, sir.
yeah. So so this, and what about here, Mubashar? Mubashar, what happened to you last week? Okay, Nabeen Raj, why did you not come first week? Nabeen? Okay, so there are these are the things that I need to tell
Sir,
and report. Yeah.
my name is Sujan Sharma. My name is almost on top of the list here.
Yeah.
I was enrolled on the second week, but I don't know how my first week attendance been given.
No, because did you come to the did you come to the first class?
No, I did not. I was not even enrolled
No.
in the subject.
Okay, so people who enroll late, I am giving
Yeah.
attendance for those people who enroll late.
Sir, I'm
Okay.
present. Sir, I'm present today. Samir Gale.
So let me take the attendance right away. Let me take the
All right.
attendance for today. So Prabesh, are you here? Prabesh, are you here? Akriti? Samir?
Yes, sir.
So you enrolled late, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's what. So if you are really enrolled late, there is no problem. We can give attendance for the remaining for the all the other days as well. Or maybe I'll just keep it like blue. Blue means enrolled late, so you don't need any issues. So
Okay.
yeah, so Hassan, Sujan, you also enrolled late, so I'll keep you as blue as well. So we can
Yes, sir.
distinguish between people who enroll
Yes.
late and so.
And also give me attendance, though. He forgot to give me the
today.
attendance.
Okay.
Are you giving attendance or not?
Yeah, I'm giving attendance. Sorry. So
Nah,
next
that's all
one, yeah, Hassan, are you here? And Ashraya Ratna. Okay, Jashandeep Kaur. And Sarmad, are you here? Darshan, Mubashar, Ujwal, Naveen Raj,
Yes, sir.
Muskan, Pratik, Suraj, Bibas,
Present, sir.
Sharing, Babin, Casey Babin, Anish, Divash, Vikal, Prem, Muktiram, Sandeep, Ankit,
Sir, Prem present.
Prem. Yeah, so please be attentive. Yeah. Where are you?
Prem present.
Yeah. Muktiram, Sandeep, Ankit, Kishore,
Yes, sir, Kishore.
Prakash,
Yes, sir.
Adip,
Prakash.
Yes,
Adip,
sir. Yes, sir.
Milan, Pooja, Kiran, Rai Ram, Nishchal, Aman, Sahil.
Present, sir. I want present, sir.
Yeah, what happened to you for the first 2 weeks?
No, sir. I could not attend the lecture, sir.
Why? So take a look at the tutorial, video lectures in the announcements.
Oh, it's
Yeah, okay. Karki Raj?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry, Karki Ajit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
So I
Praveen?
said, excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
So Aman Raj present, not Sahil.
Aman Raj. Okay. So not Sahil. Okay.
No.
Yeah. All right. So Praveen, Faisal, Sushant,
Yes,
Amit.
sir.
Who is that?
39, Susan.
Amit, Samir, Susant, Sukhdeep,
Present, sir.
Susan, Shrestha Susan, Shivam,
Sir.
Anjesh, Dinesh,
Present, sir.
Saugat Prakash, Tanya,
Yes, sir.
Binod,
Yes, sir.
Rabin,
Yes, sir.
Prasidha, Namaraj,
Yes, sir.
Adesh,
Yes, sir.
Vivek,
Yes, sir.
Avaya Lal, Shika,
Hi, ma'am.
Shika, Shika Jindal, Leknath, I see. Okay, Silval, I see. Silval, Soni Kamal. Okay, so one more time. This is the last time I'm going to go through. Please look at your name, and if it is marked absent here in the third class, so please remind right now. Otherwise, I'm not going to open this site again, this window again. Look at your names. So all these three are absent. I marked. These 5 people are absent. Sharing, Babin, Anish, Shrestha. If any of you are here. Okay. Muskan, Pratik, Suraj. Okay, so all these people are absent. Please take a look. Any of you are here. Okay, so that's it, right? So let me take a look at the chart. If there are anybody complaining here. Okay, I don't see anybody complaining about the mic or anything. So I'm guessing everybody is happy with the attendance. Let's move on to the lecture. Those who are missing the lecture, so I am uploading the video, the lecture recordings in the announcements. Please watch them so that you will learn what is required. And when you're coming to the next class, make sure that you are all up to date with. Then don't come to the class saying that I don't know anything. Yeah, Anjesh, what do you want? So you're not marked. Yeah, I just came in. Okay, Anjesh. Why are you just coming in 20 minutes? Anjesh, what is your number? Anjesh, okay. All right. Anybody else? All right, so that's good. Let's move on. So people who miss the class, please watch the videos before you join, like, I mean, not before you join, but next time you come to the class, I will also upload this week's tutorial, this week's lecture onto the there. Anybody else?
Sir, can you mark my attendance?
Yeah, I did. Anjesh, right?
Asan, sir.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
See, this is what I don't like half an hour, like 15-20 minutes, you are wasting time. Why don't you just come on time? And then that would that would save me time.
Sorry for that, sir. Next time.
Yeah, please come on time. And when I call attendance, answer. I will take attendance at any time I like. It's not like I'll take in the first 15 minutes or like last 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. It's but you should be attending the whole class. So if you are attending the whole class, it should not matter for you. So if you are coming only for the attendance, if you are coming only for the attendance, you will be coming a little bit late. I know that. I know how people are playing tricks. They just come there, log in, and take the attendance, and then close the window. So let's start the class. Where is the week 3? Okay, so okay, so today we are looking at defining the requirements, business, data, and quality. So we will be looking through. Last week we covered the business case and technical case, and then we justified how business projects should be implemented. We looked at the readiness of a project. We developed the scope, plan, and budget, and we looked at the pitfalls in justifying our business intelligence plan or business project. So now in this class, we will be looking at a few things. One of them is purpose, and then we look at the goals of business intelligence project, and then what are the deliverables, what are the roles, and what is the workflow, and we will also do some interviewing and documentation. So let's start with the first thing in line, which is the purpose. So most people in see, in business intelligence, what is business intelligence, guys? Can anybody tell me what business intelligence is? What is business intelligence? I covered this in the last class. What is the meaning of business intelligence?
Which has to make good decision in a business.
Yeah, it's about decision making. Business intelligence is about decision making using the existing tools or existing data analysis, so visualizations and all. Yes, correct. So, but what the purpose of a business intelligence, the purpose of the business intelligence project is to make people oriented process, make it the most people oriented process in BI development. When you are trying to develop the business intelligence, you need to think, you need to customize that so that it appeals to the people. It is people oriented, not just business oriented. So, and one thing that we also need to remember is politics. Politics changes behavior, politics changes the attitudes of the people, and because of that we need to take into account how politics are affecting the behavior. And one issue that we are all required to know is business failures are linked to unclear requirements. People they don't know what is business need. They fall short of a business need, and sometimes the failures, the requirements are very late and they are very unclear, and sometimes they are just over budget. So in these cases, so we need to be aware of what kind of business failures are likely to happen. And also we need to make sure that the for the participation in the business intelligence, business BI development, you need awareness at each and every level. And let's look at the common pitfalls. We looked at the pitfalls in the previous class. Now we'll look at a few more pitfalls that are incorporated into business intelligence development. So the first one that is that they are not detailed enough to clarify what is a set expectation. That you have a set expectation of a business intelligence project, right? Sometimes it is not detailed enough. Sometimes it is very vague, like for example, to improve the overall efficiency of the system. That is a very vague business intelligence project or plan. So you need to make sure that it is clear and what is expected is set clearly. Then you restrict the focus. Sometimes we restrict the focus only to meet the business requirements. What is the shortcoming? What is the problem with this? What do you think is a problem with this? What do you think is a problem with restricting only your focus to business requirements? Because you're completely ignoring the customer and the market dynamics and everything else. So you need to take that into consideration as well. And sometimes we make a mistake that the business intelligence project, they are not refined and charged as the project changes. So you need to in reality, like once you make a plan, you should be willing to change. You should be willing to adapt, saying that okay, so because of this there are new changes, let's make a change. So that is what is required. But a lot of people are not prepared to do that, so that's a problem. And then a lot of people, they do not involve business power users or business intelligence designers or developers. So some people think that okay, just by an analyst or a data visualization expert can do everything, but that's not the case. So you need to involve the power users. That means people who use the business regularly, and the designers, the people who design the BI project, and the people who develop the business project, they all should be involved in the project. And and we also need to make sure that we recreate the existing system. So sometimes what happens is, if you want to change a system, right, that is already broken, so what we do is you change it a little bit and then do a new project. But that's a very bad idea, because when you have a project that is already demonstrated that it is failing, right, so it is very good to abandon the project completely and start fresh. But a lot of people don't do that. The mistake that a lot of people do is to recreate the same system that has the same problems. So they change a little bit here and there, little bit here and there, but they still are creating the same system that is already proven to fail. So these are the biggest issues when you are dealing with uh, business project development. So making these mistakes can prevent you from what is really required. You cannot deliver what is really required in the agreed time and within the agreed budget. So avoid these pitfalls, avoid these mistakes. Now, what are the goals? The goals, we can look at the primary goal will be to design, build, and implement a solution, right? So we need to design, build, and implement a solution in that order. First the design phase. So the business side, in order for us to do that, we need to look at the business side. From the business side, we need to check, is it meeting my priorities? Is it meeting my business needs? That means, am I improving my customer base? Am I making enough new clients every month? So you define a business side and you agree on the business needs and priorities. Next, from the technology side, it's saying that, so when you are any BI project, it requires a few things. First of them is understanding the business. Next one is putting the technology in place, right? So do you have enough technology to put the thing into practice, right? Do you have a data model? Do you have a data integration? What are the tools that you are using? Are you using R? Are you using Python? Are you using SQL? Where is your business model? Where is your technical perspective? So you need to develop the technical perspective. What are your data collection techniques? So where is your data repository? So all this, they form a technical perspective. So what we need to build in the three pillars. The three pillars, these are the basics from the technology perspective: data model, integrating the data, and then analyzing the process of the data. So once we do this, then we can do um, a, a, a business investment, a business intelligence assessment. When you're doing a business intelligence, we look at the business and IT requirements. We look at the architecture. Architecture is again going deeply into the data and technology side. And then we look at the organization and skills. So these are primarily our goals. So and then you create a roadmap. Roadmap is just how you are going from one point to another point through the processes. So that is called a roadmap. So you are when you are making an assessment of a BI, so these are the processes, these are the steps that you need to follow. And so far we just covered the primary goals, right? These are primary goals. Now there are looking at the secondary goals. Secondary goals of a business is to establish working relationship between all the people involved. That means whether you are a sponsor or a stakeholder or other support, technical support or business support, so you need to have good connections. You need to build good working relationships. Next, the business people who will be who ultimately be the information consumers. So you need to understand who are the information, who seeks this information, right? If you are preparing a PowerPoint slide, right, who is the end consumer who is looking at that and going to make a decision, right? The business people, you need to understand who will ultimately be using this information, right? Business, and again, business and technology people, you are always subject, who are like, they are subject experts, subject matter experts. We call them SMEs in short. So the subject matter experts in like analytical requirement, data source requirement, and data shadow systems. So these are all the people you need to make sure that they are all involved. They are all properly in the loop. And then you also need to put IT staff members and IT support members into the loop. And they are essential because you want to support an IT infrastructure based on the business project. And one thing, how many of you heard this Goldilocks syndrome? How many of you heard the word Goldilocks?
No,
You never heard of Goldilocks?
no, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to give all of you a chance to identify what that word is. Go into Google and see what that means, and then explain to me what the Goldilocks really mean. I'm going to give you 1 minute. So find out, put it in Google and find out what it is.
It's about 3 bears. Is that what it is? It's a children book.
It is what?
A children book. That's what it says. So it's basically teaching you to respect your properties, respect the private properties or private.
No, nothing like that. No.
Okay.
So maybe you looked at the wrong link. Goldilocks means
Is the training content that is too hot or too cold?
Digital learning or
yeah, Goldilocks. So see, so do you know that if you look at Mars, right? How many of you heard of Mars? Mars
Yes,
is a
sir.
planet,
Mars is a planet.
right?
Yes,
So
sir. Yeah,
how is Mars? Mars is like if you look at Mercury, Mercury and Venus, they are very hot planets. Why?
Too near to sun.
They are very close to the sun, right?
Yep.
So we cannot survive on, life cannot survive on planets like that. If you go outside, like Neptune and Pluto, Neptune, Uranus and Neptune, right?
It's cold there.
It's very cold there. So you cannot survive there also. So you can only survive in a very narrow belt. So that is, Earth and Mars are the only ones that are in that Goldilocks zone. So the one that is neither too hot or neither too cold, right? That is called a
Okay.
Goldilocks zone. Do you
Yep.
understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you get it?
yes, sir. Yeah,
So,
yeah. Got it.
that,
Yeah.
so it should not be too hot and it should not be too cold. That is called a Goldilocks zone. So let us see how does that apply. Sometimes people put too much emphasis on technical things, on checklisting of documents. That means you are overdoing it. You are getting too much. Sometimes people lack any detail at all. That means you are too cold. You don't care much, right? So the right thing should be a combination of these two. It should not be too hot, it should not be too cold. That means you have to put the right amount of emphasis on completing the checklist, but at the same time you should also put enough emphasis on the detail. Okay, you cannot go one way or the other too much. Is that clear? Do you understand this syndrome? Is everybody clear on the
Yes, sir.
on it should not be too detailed and it should not be too vague also at the same time. So yeah, that means it should be decently organized and it should be also flexible in a way that you can understand the details. So then we are looking at the deliverables. What is a deliverable? When a business, when you're making a plan or something, when someone asks you, what are the deliverables? What does it mean? What are the deliverables for this project? What does that word deliverable mean? What's the meaning, guys? Can anybody guess what the deliverable is?
Requirements.
Requirements? No, it's not requirement. No. What is the meaning of a deliverable?
Products.
Huh? What docs? What did you say? I couldn't hear you. Can you please repeat what you said? Okay, so what is a deliverable?
Product of development processor, like things that should be provided.
No, not really. No. Like, see, if you have a project, like let us say you agreed to do some work to a company, okay, and you are the consultant for the company, and the company will be expecting what you call a deliverable at the end of the project. So you will be delivering a report, or you will be delivering a presentation, or you will be delivering the sources of the data, whatever. So deliverables are the ones that you provide to your client at the end of the project. Is that clear? So a deliverable means, I mean, it need not be at the end of the project. It can be in the middle also. Like, sometimes the clients demand like, okay, how far the work has done? Can I have a report until the middle of the project, whatever. Like if the project is 20 weeks, at the end of 10 weeks, they may ask you to give you a deliverable or a presentation, whatever. So whatever, whatever you deliver to your client, right? That is called a deliverable. Is that clear? The meaning of a deliverable?
Yes, sir. So it's not the
Yes.
Yeah. So I think a lot of you, I mean, it's very surprising that you haven't even heard of this word. It's a very common word in business, business proposals, and whenever there is a meeting, this is very common. So a primary deliverable is a set of pre-agreed upon requirements. Like, so pre-agreed, like set of, like initially you agree on something, so that is a primary deliverable. Usually this is like a report or a presentation, usually a report like properly documented report will be a primary deliverable. A supporting deliverable would be a revised project plan including budget and resource requirements. That means like you can have several supporting deliverables like budget plan. So you started working on a project, okay, let us say you underestimated the cost of the iron that is required, like, I mean, not iron, like cost of some labor, like you are hiring a new team member to finish that particular task. So obviously it will increase your budget, right? So in that case you need to send the budget again, saying that, hey, Mr. Client, I see I agreed to $10,000 of the project for this, but again I realized that this kind of work, it takes more time and more skill. So we have hired a new person into our project, and he's going to charge $120 an hour. So then basically you add that onto the cost and send it to the client. So basically that is basically what we call a supporting deliverable. So requirements in that case should be detailed enough to support the next step, and the deliverables must be documented properly. So the process of requirement, how to gather what is required. Like for example, in this particular case, if you are hiring a new faculty, new person, new data visualization expert or data engineer, whoever it is to complete the project is required. So what is the process of requirement gathering? How do you gather those people? How do you gather those labor? How do you gather those capital? How do you gather those buildings, or whatever tools that are required for you? So you need to include the description, functionality, and everything that is there for that requirement. And then you list out all the requirements, right? The list of requirements, whether it is like for example business side, business functional side, and then data regulatory. I mean, if your need is for the data, right? Sometimes data is free, but sometimes data need to be gathered, sometimes data need to be paid for. So you need to understand all the requirements, and primarily include that in your deliverable. So the first, let us move on to how to define a requirement. So stepwise refinement of a business have certain requirements. As you can see on the leftmost side, we can have each business have certain requirements. We can categorize that that requirements into 4 types. The first and the most easy to understand is a data requirement. Obviously, without data, you cannot do anything. So you need to do and gather the data. What is the data that is required? How am I going to gather that data? Is it going to be paid for data? Who is going to gather this data? All this is data requirements. Next, we need to see how functional our business plan is, right? Whether it is going to work smoothly, whether it is the functionalities that are there in the business. You need to measure those functionalities as well. Next, you need to look at the technical requirements. Technical requirements involve mostly the software that is required, the hardware that is required, the even basically technically what is required. And then you need to look at the compliance. Like if you are setting up a small business, obviously there will be some compliance. If you are running a small business plan or business intelligence project, there will be compliance. So if you are setting up a business in Australia, you need to agree with the code of conduct of business, like what are the requirements within the regulatory requirements. So all these things, they will all come under business requirements. Okay, so once you tick each and every of these boxes, you can say my business requirements are met. Okay, is that making sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now let's move on to the roles. Like there are a few people who are involved in the business BI plan, and let me introduce you to the team, right? So there is always the biggest one is a business analyst. Business analyst is the guy who controls the entire business. He analyzes, he looks at the business from a distance. He's a big guy who takes the perspective, and then under him there are a few people who work. So they will be like, either it can be a data architect, data modeler, data designer, and ETL designer. So basically this is all an infrastructure of converting the data that you gather. So you are building a team, right? So you're building a team where you can gather, you can convert the data into useful pieces of information. So the other side of it is not the BI team, but the participants. The participants are usually the stakeholders or the sponsors or the clients, you can say. So the BI team is your team who works to convert the data into information, and the participants who are the ones who look at the information that you create and then make a decision based on that. So they will be the participants, stakeholders, and the users. Then you have separately an IT team, IT group for IT group. Usually this is for like data source systems, and like if you are how to manage a server, how to create like basically they will deal with the hardware of the business processes, and they will look at the reporting of the existing system. So basically you are dividing into basically looking at the analysis team, the business team, and the IT team. Okay, now then we are going to move on to the requirement of the workflow, right? What is a workflow? Have you heard the word workflow? What is the meaning of the workflow?
Trading.
Huh? Trading? No, that's not trading. What is the meaning of a workflow?
Sequence of working.
Sequence of work. In what order you want to do the work. For example, if you are building a car, right? So initially you need to assemble the chassis, then you need to assemble the steering wheel, then you need to do this, then at the end you will do the painting, right? So there is an order of work. So some people need to finish their work before other people start their work, correct? So that is called a workflow. In a workflow, you'll always have bottlenecks. What is the meaning of a bottleneck in a workflow? Have you heard the word bottleneck before? What is the meaning of a bottleneck? What's the
Never
meaning of
heard about this before.
what is the meaning of a bottleneck? Anybody?
A narrow section.
A narrow section, correct? Yeah, bottleneck is a narrow section. But how does it apply to business terminology? Workflow, especially to workflow.
Maybe converting a big work into a small plan.
No, that's a good guess, but not correct. Good guess. If you don't know, that would be a good guess. Okay, a bottleneck is something that is obstructing the flow of work, right? Not obstructing, it is something that needs to be finished before the next work starts, right? Without finishing that part of the work cannot progress. That's called a bottleneck. Okay, for example, if you look at the car, if you look at the typical car manufacturing, right, you need to assemble the car, like we need to put the doors of the car into the body before you start painting the car, right? So that means the assembly of the doors of the car, that will be a bottleneck, because without that nobody will be starting the painting. Do you understand what a bottleneck is?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, bottleneck. How do you define a bottleneck? If somebody comes to you and asks you tomorrow, what is a bottleneck? How do you define it?
Teacher, can you give another simpler
This is
example?
with the pre-requirement for some.
Okay, so let us say you and your friends are doing a small project. Okay, and you are designing a website. Okay, now I don't know if you are any of you familiar with the HTML coding. No, I don't know.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah, let us say the first thing you want to do is like you want to design, you want to put the structure of the project together, right? And then somebody else, once you put all the content together, like let us say person A, let us call who is active here. Let us say Tanya is in charge of basic design of the project, and Anish is in charge of putting the graph, putting the pictures together based on the content that Tanya creates. So Tanya will be in Tanya must finish her work before Anish starts his work. Tanya cannot say, "Oh, Anish, why are you waiting for me? Do your work." No, she cannot say that, because Anish's work will depend on Tanya finishing her work. Okay, because Anish is in charge of creating pictures based on what Tanya has written. So basically that will be, so Tanya's work can be classified as a bottleneck in this case. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so a bottleneck is something that must be completed in the workflow process before somebody else continues the work, before the rest of the project takes shape. Okay, so that's called a bottleneck. When you are dealing with like a lot of operations in a business, there are a lot of bottlenecks, right? Sometimes you can always say, hey, the boss can say, where is the PowerPoint presentation? Like you say, the PowerPoint presentation is not ready because this person has not finished the work. That's called a bottleneck. If someone doesn't do their bit of the work and that is stopping the other people from doing their work, that is clearly a bottleneck. Okay. Now let us look at how we define the requirements in a workflow. Now let's start with we gather the business requirements, and then we look at all the other kinds of regulatory requirements, functional requirements, and then technical and replacement requirements. All these things we will take into consideration, all these things. After that, we will look at when you are looking at data. Okay, so what are the data sources? Let us go from one path to the end. Like each path must be completed. Like there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paths. So all the 5 paths must be completed before you reach your final requirements and signing off. The first path will be data. Okay, Identify what data is required, what are the data sources, what is the data profile. That means, is it like SQL, is it on the server, is it Excel, is it like wherever, how is the data format and everything. And then perform gap and quality assessment. So that is basically one of the assessments for data analysis. And then we revise the data quality and needs, and then that will be the one branch. Next, we will be looking at the regulatory requirements. What are regulatory requirements? What is the meaning of a regulatory requirement? I already told you this in the class today. What is the meaning of a regulatory requirement? You guys should pay attention. Like see, when you are opening any business or when you're doing anything, there are
Yeah.
what?
Regulatory
Means what? Regulatory means what? What is the meaning of regulatory and compliance requirements? What's the meaning of that? I already told you today. Okay, please pay attention, guys. I know you guys are like just listening a little bit and not listening a lot, but please pay attention. This is very important. Like, you will be required to explain this in an exam. Maybe like they will give you 5 points or 10 points for this. So make sure that you are following what I'm teaching you. Okay, so regulatory requirements compliance means agreeing with the government, agreeing with the rules and the requirements that are laid on you by the government or the compliance. Right. So whenever if you are running a small business, there are certain rules and regulations, like you need to set up this, you need to set up that, you need to you need to have an accounts properly managed and all these things. So those are all regulatory compliance. So that would be the second step, second path. Now the third part would be the functional requirements. Functional requirements means what are the different functions that we are using? What are the different cases, mock-up, storyboards? So we'll revise all these functional needs. Is my project completely functional? How do you use this? Then you create a sequence of functions, and then you make sure that you consolidate those group requirements. And that is the functionalities. You check the functions. So basically data, regulation, functions. And then we need to look at the technical requirements. Technical requirements usually include what? I also mentioned this.
hardware, software.
Hardware and software, very good. Hardware and software requirements that are there. And then we assess what they are required, and then we consolidate. Similarly, replacement requirements. Sometimes we don't know whether what we have is sufficient or not. We need to request a replacement. Then we need to reverse engineer. What is the meaning of reverse engineering? Have you heard of the word reverse engineering? Have you heard of that word or not?
No.
No, sir.
No. Okay. So engineering means building something, right? You take some raw materials and build something. That's called, that we can roughly call that manufacturing or engineering. Reverse engineering is looking like opening that item and trying to understand how this was constructed in the beginning, right? So if you give me like a toy, right, I can look at the toy and I can say it is very well engineered toy. Now I can open that toy completely and see how it was built in the first place. That's called reverse engineering. Is that clear? It's going from front to back, right? Understanding what the process is based on the output that you see. That's called reverse engineering. And once you do that, you create the document existing report and revise the replacement report. Whatever is new now, whatever is required now for replacement, you put that into order. And that is how you create or you define each and every requirement. And once you finish that requirement, you will be prioritizing which requirement is more important and which one is less important, and so on. And then you finish with the requirements. Is this picture clear? Is this well explained? Do you have any questions? Is that this is one of the key diagrams that you may need to remember. Okay, so basically what we are doing, all the 5 different kinds of requirements, and we're defining each of these requirements and how to put them in a workflow. Is that clear, guys?
Yes, sir. But in the exam, do we need to draw it like this or just explain?
Like they don't ask you to draw anything. They will ask you to see. I don't know whether they may ask you to draw, because to draw and remember some things, that's really hard. But
Yes, sir.
they may ask you to explain, like once they give you the diagram, they may ask you to explain the process. But these 5 things definitely you need to remember anyway, like data, regulation, like function, technical, and these 5 things you need to remember anyway, because they are already covered here, like you can see in the requirements here. Where are we? Yeah, I think these are the 5 requirements that need to be done. Yeah, so
Thank you, sir.
yeah, here, yeah. So here there are 4, and the 5th one is the replacement requirements. That's all. So you can see these are the 4 requirements, as you can see: data, functional, technical, and regulatory. And then the 5th one is added here, like you can see in the 5th one would be the replacement requirements. These 4 are already there. The 5th one is there. Okay. Is that making sense? So just try and understand how this workflow is happening. That's all. Right? Probably they may not ask you to recreate the diagram, but I'm not the one who is creating the final paper or the midterm exam. You have midterm exam, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have midterm exam 20% or something like that? I don't know. I'm thinking like. Okay, so now let's move on to the business requirements. So like in a high level business requirements, the driver for all other requirements, like you need to understand what the drivers are for all the other requirements. So you need to understand the processes that are supported, whether they are new or whether they are changing the existing process. And you need to understand the business rules, KPIs. What is KPI? What does the word KPI stand for? What is a metric? KPI means key performance indicator. That means, how do you want to measure the success of a company? How do you want to measure the success of an investment? If you are investing certain money in a project, what is it that you look for? Right? You have $10,000. You put the money in an investment. What do you look for? I'm asking you guys. You put your money in a project. What would be your key performance indicator for that for that project? For that
Profit?
Profit. Yeah, you can say profit. So it's called rate. It's called, yeah, in this particular case, if it's an investment, it's a rate of return, right? What is the interest that what is the what is the profit that I'm getting? That's what is the advantage. So basically, a key performance indicator is short for KPI. Okay, so basically you develop those metrics to see, hey, I'm gonna check this key performance indicator to see how my business is doing. So that's a business requirement. So then you look at the data, right? The next part is data requirements. So now we finished this bit. Now we are looking at we finished with the business requirements. Now we are looking at, we gathered the business requirements. Now we are looking deeply into granular into all of these 5. The next one, okay, let me mute everybody. I have muted everybody. And you have an option to unmute yourself, because I don't want disturbance to coming into my class. Have I muted everybody? Is it not? Allow participants to unmute yourself. Mute all. Yes. Yeah, I think everybody is muted now. That's good. Okay, so if I ask you a question and you want to speak, you can unmute yourself and speak. And a lot of people are traveling, or maybe you're doing something else. I don't want that disturbance to be coming into the classroom. So now those are the KPIs. KPI means what? What is the full form of KPI? Tanya?
Performance indicator.
Key performance indicator. Yeah, very good. Now we have some applications, right? Data means what? Data is source
Information?
of repository. Huh? What?
Can we say data is raw information?
Yeah, data is raw information. Yeah, you can say data is like raw information. Yeah. So databases, right? The databases can be like SQL database, or it can be application database, or it can be file-based data. So what are the sources of repositories? Source of repositories, and then you need to do gap analysis to see if there are any gaps. We need to identify new sources. We need to cleanse the data. We need to master the data, and we need to any new data capture, like is there any way in which you need to capture any new data? You need to drop any certain requirements. All these things we are going to do. These are all related to data. So you are processing the data. Okay, collect the data, store the data in SOR, and then process the data using a basic gap analysis. So the next one we need to look at is the data quality requirements. Now you can see here, if you see, once we save the data in different formats, like an SQL or SQL repository, or on a server, or in Excel format. So we need to do quality analysis, quality revise, and data and quality needs. So how do we measure that quality part? So see, data quality may be masked by corrections that made within the existing reports. That sometimes people cook up the data to make it look good. So you need to make sure that you need to understand the data quality properly. Although, and the data should be up to date. Data does not age well, right? Older data is not useful, right? So that's what it means by data doesn't age well, right? Old data not so useful, recent data very useful. So you need to maintain the recency of the data. So you need to understand what are the inconsistencies in the historical data, and you need to make sure that it is recent. So that is also a part of data quality, right? And you also need to be, data quality may be fine within each application, but may be very inconsistent with across other applications. That means if you gather a data in one format, it may not be accessible to another application. Like if I gather a textual data, right, before converting and cleansing the data, I won't be able to use it for my analysis at all. So the master data is sometimes inconsistent. So and may not be apparent until the data is like loaded into the database, into the data warehouse, enterprise data warehouse. DW means data warehouse. So these are the two other forms, right? We covered what did we cover so far? We covered this data requirements, and now we are going to look at the technical requirements. Let's look at the technical requirements. In the technical requirements, the work is done whether it is done on the cloud or on the premises. What is the meaning of work done in the cloud? Are we going to the sky and doing the work? What is the meaning of cloud there? Working on the cloud, working in the cloud. What does the cloud mean?
Storing the data in the cloud, like.
What does it mean? What is the meaning of a cloud?
Cloud.
Yeah, cloud means what?
In the technical form, or like
In the technical form? Yeah. Everybody knows what a cloud is in the real form. What is the meaning of a
Space?
cloud? Huh?
Storage.
What?
Virtual storage.
No. What, can you please repeat? I may not have heard you properly.
Virtual storage.
Virtual storage. Okay. So yeah, almost correct, but not exactly. Can anybody tell me what a cloud is?
A space for lots of data.
Well, why do we call it cloud? We can call it like a server. What is the meaning of cloud? What is the advantage of a cloud computing? Think about
Easily
it.
accessible.
Okay, can you give an example of a cloud? Can you give me an
cloud.
example of a real world like technical example of a cloud?
iCloud.
No, I mean like I want
Internet
you
of
to.
Things.
Yeah, but can you give an example, simplest of example that I'm sure you might have used it. Most of you.
Google Drive.
Google Drive, yes. Google Drive is a cloud.
Dropbox.
Yeah, Dropbox is a cloud. So what it does is it can help it can the work can be stored and done in the cloud. That means you don't need to keep any work, any file in your local computer. That saves a lot of space. So what is the biggest cloud service provider in the world today?
Google.
No, Google is not the biggest one. Google is actually number 4 or number 5.
Amazon.
Amazon Web Services. Have you heard of Amazon Web Services?
Yes, sir.
AWS.
Yes, sir.
Then we have Microsoft Azure, which is the second biggest one in the cloud serving space. So a work done on the cloud, right? It enables a lot of people to work together at the same time without actually sharing the like without everybody having that a copy of the file. That's the advantage. Earlier what happens is if someone has to do something, then he has to finish it and then he has to send it to somebody else and they have to work on it and so on. Right now, once the cloud technology has come, it enabled people to work simultaneously. Okay, so then that would be the first requirement. And then we need to look at the policies on data centers, where the data centers are located. Where do you want to keep the data centers? And then what vendor hardware and software do you want to use? Do you want to use it depends on like your budget, obviously. You want to use SQL, you want to use basic Python, like a free R software, whatever you want to use, just define what you want to use. Then what appliances are required, what web services are required, and what are the rules what are the rules on who can access the database. So sometimes the team that is there will all have equal access to all the data and all the databases. But usually the data analyst can actually control who has access to what part of the database. So those are all the technical requirements. Once we're done with the technical, we have finished, right? Business requirements, data requirements, and technical requirements. Now we are looking at two more things: functional requirements and regulatory requirements. The functional requirements, they use the cases. Who are the users? What data is needed? And what metrics? How do you measure the success of a function? And we analyze the workflow and how the users interact within the process. Like means you do this and then you coordinate with that person, you coordinate with that team, and you do this. You do basically what you call a BPM, business process modeling. Okay, and then we look at the analytical styles that are needed. Okay, and next we look at the regulatory compliance. And regulatory compliance is adherence to laws, regulations, and guidelines, maintaining the industry standards and all this. So there can be issues with compliance, especially in the information exchange and the country boundaries. So especially if you are moving across the different countries, so the law will be different across the borders. So you need to be very very wary of which country in which what is the country in which you are having the end product, or which country's law should I abide by, and all these things. These are all regulatory requirements. So then we look at reverse engineering. So reverse engineering is usually it can help you understand. You can take a product and see, okay, what has gone wrong and how to fill the issues that are there. And these are all like business power users. They are like deep thinkers. They compare with other product and see, okay, because of this product, this item, oh, they are doing well. Because of this, they are doing well. Maybe what is the analyze the business process model of a competitor, for example, right, and see how it is working compared to your model, right? That would consider like, then you can go back and modify your model. And then after we're done, we just put all these 5 together. What are the 5 requirements? Can anybody tell me what requirements? We covered 5 requirements. Can anybody tell me what the 5 requirements are? Let's see if anybody can remember. Nobody can remember all the 5 requirements? What's the first one? Functional requirement is not the first one, but it's okay. One of the requirements. What are the other 4? Technical, okay. Next.
Compliance.
Compliance,
Data.
yeah, regulatory, and then data. And then we can have replacement requirements. So all of this will come under what requirements?
Business.
Business requirements. Good, right? So I hope that is all clear, right? So we're putting into, first we consolidate, like, so once we got all this, right? So we need to consolidate and group the requirements, right? We have finished all this path. We have reached all these paths, and we are right now meeting here. All the 5 arrows, you see, they are meeting here. Now let us talk about these 3 steps before you finish this entire diagram. So now we are learning about consolidation and the group requirements. So when first we need to consolidate and cross-reference what are the business values, what are the business processes, which business group is in charge of doing things, what data sources are we using, and what is my analytical functionality. So you need to consolidate all of this and reference which one to use, where in the workflow process you want to use which one and how much you want to use. So that means you are putting it all together. And then the last but one step is the prioritizing the requirements, right? You need to establish priorities. Priority means what? Priority means what? Once you have
Sorry,
certain
sir?
tasks to do, so you, what?
What was the word?
Priority.
Oh, priority.
Priority means which one should be done first, which one is more important, right? We need to establish those priorities.
Important.
Yeah, important things must be done first, or yeah. So then you look at the commonality. That means what are the things that are in common between the users, and what is the feasibility of certain review of that project. So, and then we need to have requirements like something, it's a must have, right? Without that, the project cannot happen. Should have means it will make your life really easy. You should have it. And then it's nice to have, and then forget about it. It's not required. So basically this is the order of importance. So if it is really required, it's a must have. If it is good to have it, it's a should have. If it is okay to have it, that helps you, it's nice to have. It's forget about it means it's not required. Okay, so these are the 4 priorities. Like if something is must have, you must acquire that first, right? So then we will look at the interviewing. So interviewing means you prepare for the interview, and you create template for questionnaires, and you list of the people, and you look at formal invitations. That's how you prepare for the interviews. And then the conduction of the interviews, like interviews can be conducted in like a single one-on-one or like a group. Like you just need to direct the discussion, how you what is, like you usually use focus groups to direct the interviews, but basically we are gathering and organizing these interviews. So in these interviews you share your intelligence about the work, about the trends in technology, about the latest developments, whatever. Like, so those interviews are going to be useful and productive. So after you finish the interviews, what you do, you follow up. You look at the outstanding matters. What are the things that are still need to be resolved? What are the documents and review? What is the validate? How do you validate? And then you finally sign off. So this is the whole process, right? We have gone through the entire chart today, right? Prioritizing on them until we started here from the business requirements, right? Split it into 5 parts and then go through each and every chain, and then finally we signed off. Is that clear, guys? I hope I tried my best to make it very clear, each and every word, so that you guys are able to follow. Okay. Now let us just summarize. So we learned about like what is the purpose, then we looked at the goals, we looked at what deliverables are, we understood the roles, we understood the workflow. Okay. And then we also talked about the interviewing and documentation. So I hope that is clear for all of you.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is we are going to spend a little bit more time today on the tutorial, because we finished it off a little bit early. And what I am planning to do is I want you to go through the entire slides one more time. And since this lecture is going to be recorded, I'm going to upload this right away into the not upload. I'm going to upload it into the.
Break. What about the break, sir?
I'm going to give you 10
So
minutes break. Let's start at 2:30 again.
it is the recording of both lecture and tutorial, or just
No,
lecture?
no, only lecture. Video, I mean, I'm not recording the tutorial. I will record the tutorial separately. So, but the tutorial, there is another link. You need to use the other link.
Like
Okay, but
is
yeah,
it's provided in the Moodle?
it won't be uploaded in the Moodle. Like as I told you, okay, let me show you. So here I am putting in the announcements.
Okay, sir.
In the announcements, I have seen like week 1 lecture video, week 2 lecture video. I will also put in week 3 lecture video. It is only in the announcements.
Okay, sir. So what about the tutorial?
The tutorial will organize. The tutorial link is different. We'll start the tutorial class at 3 o'clock, 3 to 5.
Okay.
Okay. So, but I don't, since we have finished early, I don't want you to waste the time. So take 10 minutes break, right? Use the same link. And anybody just joined the class who I did not take attendance about? Did anybody not give their attendance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I am sharing the screen. Can you please tell me where you are?
Number 9, sir.
Excuse me,
Okay, let me open it again.
Sir, Milan.
Yeah, okay, let me open it. Yeah. Number 9, you said. Okay.
Milan.
Sir, can you scroll down?
Yeah, okay.
So number 15.
Okay.
15. Thank you, sir.
Sir, number
13, please. 13. Number 13.
19.
18.
Sir, number 11. Sir, I didn't find my number.
Can you go down, please, sir?
18, sir. 18.
Couldn't find, sir. Can you go down, please?
So 18.
37, sir.
33.
So 44.
Remove the bag. I'll remove the bag. Wait. I'll check them.
So 52.
Sir, number 29 done. Thank you, sir.
Sir, number 25.
So number 8, please.
Number 7. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Number 10.
Number 10.
Number 1, sir.
Okay.
Okay, 13.
Anybody else? Pooja, Kiran, Ram, Sahil, Faisal, Amit, Samir, Susant, Prakash, Pooja, Prasiddha.
Sir, Sandeep.
What?
Sandeep Kandal.
Number?
Number, actually, I don't know.
Can you please look? Sandeep?
Yeah, Sandeep. Yeah. Thanks, sir.
Prasiddha. Where is Prasiddha? So I think everybody else got the attendance. I couldn't find some people, but I can't help. Okay, fine, guys. Any other issues with the attendance? I think everything is okay. I'm just going to close this window. Prasiddha is present. Okay. All right. I'm going to close this window. Now I'm going to upload this into YouTube. And yeah. Okay. So I'm going to see you guys in I'm going to open the link a little bit sooner. Okay. I'm going to close this link and I will open the other link. Okay. Hello, guys.
The other link means the tutorial link.
The tutorial
That's what
link.
you want.
The tutorial link. We will start a little bit sooner. The tutorial class.
Okay, sir.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure,
If we
thanks.
can finish sooner, like if you are able to finish sooner, we will finish sooner. So I will start the tutorial link at 2:40. So everybody please join at 2:40 in the tutorial link.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so because there are a lot of things that we need to learn in R and programming, so we will spend a little bit more time there. Okay.
Okay, sir.